Section 24C, Respect for Individuals. 24.17, Showing Respect for Individuals. Respect, consideration, manners, common sense, and politeness are all ways of demonstrating common acts of courtesy. Common acts of courtesy that contribute to a positive, professional working environment include simple things like saying please and thank you and respecting other people's time. When in the workplace, being helpful, taking and delivering messages, and offering assistance when possible are demonstrations of consideration for others. All Air Force personnel should demonstrate common acts of courtesy while on and off duty. Distinguished visitors. Certain individuals who are considered distinguished visitors, DV, are often afforded particular courtesies as a matter of respect, as well as tradition. A DV may be defined as any 1. General or flag officer, 2. Government official with rank equivalent to a brigadier general or higher, 3. Foreign military officer or civilian designated a DV by the Undersecretary of the Air Force for International Affairs, or 4. Visitor or group designated by the commander. Persons in certain positions may be given DV status as designated by the commander. A DV visit is an important event and should be given close attention to detail. Review AFI 34-1201 Protocol and AFP AM 34-1202 Guide to Protocol, and contact the Installation Protocol Office for further guidance on responsibilities and proper procedures for DVs. 24.18 Position of Honor. Junior personnel shall employ a courteous and respectful bearing towards senior personnel. Give the senior person, enlisted or commissioned, the position of honor on the right when walking, riding, or sitting. The junior person takes the position to the senior's left. Entering or exiting an area. Unless told otherwise or impractical, rise and stand at attention when a senior official enters or departs a room. If more than one person is present, the person who first sees the officer calls the area to attention. An exception to this is when an officer is already in the room who is equal to or has higher rank than the officer entering the room. In that case, do not call the room to attention. Entering or exiting vehicles. Military personnel enter automobiles and small boats in reverse order of rank. Juniors will enter a vehicle first and take their appropriate seat on the senior's left. The senior officer will be the last to enter the vehicle and the first to exit. 24.19 Ranks, Titles, and Terms of Address. Military personnel are addressed by the rank associated with their grade or title. While all Air Force personnel are airmen, it is appropriate to address officers by their grade, such as Lieutenant Colonel, and enlisted members by their grade, such as Master Sergeant. It is also acceptable to address enlisted members relative to their tier, such as Airman, Sergeant, Chief, as appropriate. Air Force members may also be addressed as Sir or Ma'am. Chaplains may be addressed as Chaplain or by their ecclesiastical title. Respect for civilians. Civilians and civil service employees should be addressed appropriately as Mr., Mrs., Miss, or Ms., and their last name. Also using Sir or Ma'am is appropriate. Respect for retirees. Retirees are entitled to the same respect and courtesies as active military members. They will be addressed by their retired grade on all official records and official correspondence, except for correspondence and other matters relating to a retiree's civilian employment. Refer to AFI 36-3106 Retiree Activities Program for additional details. Respect for uniformed forces and other services. Extend military courtesies to members' uniformed forces, other services, and friendly foreign nations. Pay the same respect to the national anthems and flags of other nations as rendered the United States national anthem and flag. While not necessary to learn the identifying insignia of the military grades of all nations, you should learn the ranks, grades, and insignia of the most frequently contacted nations, particularly during an overseas assignment or deployment. 24.20 Rendering the Salute. Saluting is a courtesy exchanged between members of the U.S. Armed Forces as both a greeting and a symbol of mutual respect. The salute is an expression of recognition for one another as members of the profession of arms, representing a personal commitment of self-sacrifice to preserve the American way of life. Salutes are appropriate to the U.S. President, Vice President, Secretary of Defense, Service Secretaries, all superior commissioned and warrant officers, all Medal of Honor recipients, and superior officers of friendly foreign nations. A salute is also rendered as a sign of respect to the United States flag and during official ceremonies, as covered in this chapter. Saluting uniformed forces and other services. Salutes will be exchanged between officers, commissioned and warrant, and enlisted personnel of the U.S. Armed Forces. Salutes will also be exchanged between U.S. Armed Forces personnel and the uniformed services of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and the U.S. Public Health Service as appropriate. Saluting protocol. When a salute is exchanged among individuals, the junior member always salutes the senior member first. The junior member should initiate the salute in time to allow the senior officer to return it. To prescribe an exact distance for all circumstances is not practical. However, good judgment should dictate when salutes are exchanged. While any airman, enlisted, or officer recognizing a need to salute or a need to return a salute may do so anywhere at any time, there are circumstances when saluting may or may not be practical or warranted. Indoors. Salutes are not rendered indoors except for formal reporting. When reporting to an officer indoors, knock once, enter when told to do so, march to approximately 2 paces from the officer or desk, halt, salute, and report. Sir or ma'am, rank and last name, reports as ordered, or sir or ma'am, rank and last name, reports. When the conversation is completed, execute a sharp salute, hold the salute until the officer acknowledges the salute, perform the appropriate facing movement, and depart. Outdoors. When outdoors, outside of a building, on a porch, a covered sidewalk, an entryway, a reviewing stand, or at a bus stop, the salute will be exchanged. This applies both on and off military installations. When carrying items. Individuals carrying articles in both hands, unable to be transferred to the left hand, need not initiate or return the salute when impractical, but should nod or offer a verbal greeting acknowledging the appropriateness of a salute. In formation. When in formation, members do not salute or return a salute unless given the command to do so. The person in charge of the formation salutes and acknowledges salutes for those in the formation. In a work detail. When in a work detail, individual workers do not salute. The person in charge of the detail salutes for those in the detail. In groups. When in groups, when a senior officer approaches, the first individual noticing the officer calls the group to attention. All members face the officer and salute. If the officer addresses an individual or the group, all remain at attention unless otherwise ordered until the end of the conversation, at which time they salute the officer. Public gatherings. When attending public gatherings, such as sporting events, meetings, or when a salute would be inappropriate or impractical, salutes between individuals are not required. In vehicles. Exchange of salutes between members in moving military vehicles is not mandatory. For pedestrians, when officer passengers are readily identifiable, for example, officers in appropriately marked staff vehicles, the salute must be rendered. This includes the U.S. President, the Vice President, Secretary of Defense, service secretaries, and senior officers in vehicles when distinguished by vehicle plates and/or flags. In civilian attire, persons in uniform may salute civilians or senior military members in civilian clothes upon recognition. At no salute areas, saluting is not required in areas designated as no salute areas. In physical training gear, saluting individuals due to rank recognition is not required when wearing the physical training gear, but may be expected during specified academic training environments. When outdoors in physical training gear, airmen are required to salute during reveille and retreat. At military funerals or memorials. When at a military funeral or memorial in uniform, salute the caisson or hearse as it passes, and the casket as it is carried past. Also, salute during the firing of volleys and the playing of taps. Note: many installations across the Air Force play taps to signify lights out at the end of the day. For these purposes, the salute is not required.